Welcome to Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. On this podcast, we journey through the devastating experience of the death of a child. Grief is seldom discussed openly in our culture, and the death of a child makes people feel even more uncomfortable. We approach the topic openly and honestly, speaking to people who have lost loved ones and experts who help care for them. Whether you are a parent experiencing loss or someone who wants to support another going through this tragedy, this podcast strives to offer hope and help.
Welcome to episode number 348 of Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. I'm Marcy Larson, Andy's mom. Today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Cindy. Cindy is Abbie's mom, and I'm really excited to have you listen to her because she is doing something super, super cool. So she is creating a wonderful child loss remembrance memorial in her hometown, and I just think it's awesome, and I can't wait to try to get down there to look at it at some time in person after it's all completed. But we get to that much later in the episode. I just want to give you a little heads up that it's really cool, and if you want to contribute to that, you'll be able to listen and look on the website, because I will give information on how to donate to that if you feel like you want to donate in your child's memory to that. Speaking of donations in your child's memory, we do not have a sponsor for this week's episode, but if you would like to sponsor an episode of the Always Andy's Mom podcast, you can feel free to go to the donate page. A donation of $125 does dedicate one episode to the person of your choice. So I love that. I also love if you tell me a little story and send a little email along with that so that I can read that email in the introductions. It just makes it even more special to me. Also, if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can feel free to email me that as well. Email me at Marcy, MARCY, @andysmom.com. Right now, though, I just want you to sit back and enjoy listening to Cindy, Abbie's mom. Thank you so much, Cindy, for agreeing to come on the Always Andy's Mom podcast today.
Well, thank you for allowing me to come and use your platform to talk about child loss and programs and mental health, and the list is endless. And I wanted to say before we get into it, how sorry I am that you lost your son. We get it. You know, the pain is always there, but understand that we're sympathetic to that. And, I'm sorry for your loss.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. You're right. It is, the pain is there all the time, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't you just start out by telling us about your daughter, Abbie?
Oh my goodness. Abbie was born in November of 1993. She's the youngest of three kids. She was kind of like that second family, so to speak, same husband, but second family. There was 9 and 13 years apart.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Between Katie and Matt. And it shocked to me. I wanted her. I didn't want the pregnancy. I just didn't want to go through all that again and give birth, because I was older, and my doctor kept telling, "You're older." I go, "Well, yeah, I know, but oh gosh."
Yeah.
She was a joy.
Yeah.
Tons of energy. It was so hard to keep up with her. I remember one time I was out with the two older ones. We were raking leaves, and I thought she wanted to come out with us. And I had one of those harnesses.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And because that's the type of kid she was, she would just take off. And I told my son, just tie it right there to the tree. And it's a long thing. She can help us, blah, blah. Oh my gosh. She had a fit. And I said, you better take her inside, because somebody is going to drive by and think that I'm abusing our child. Oh my gosh. That was the kind of kid she was. And where we lived, she would in the spring drive her Barbie car. It was like a cul-de-sac.
Uh-huh.
I would stay at my driveway and I could see her come around. But the neighbors would always say, "We know it's spring because Abbie's got her car out." And then don't go on the street, Abbie. She went on the street. It was one of those things. And then come to find out, as she got a little older, She had ADD.
Mm-hmm.
Made a lot of sense. And she always wanted to give of herself. And I would have to, pull her back a little bit and say, I love that about you. That is who you are. But you need to take care of you right now. You need to do your homework. You need to, concentrate on what needs to be taken care of with you. What are your responsibilities? I always told her, school's your job. And she did get her cosmetology license and her manager's license. So proud of her. I mean, I couldn't do that. All that, the studying and, the health benefits and all of that kind of stuff that goes along with cosmetology. When she was, it was in junior high, Abbie's best friend committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And ever since then, she was not the same.
Yeah.
And I think I know more now as she's passed and, getting into ADD and mental health and what have you, that she suffered.
Yeah.
She wasn't one to just put things out there. She kept a lot in her chest. So it was hard to pull it out of her.
Yeah.
But I knew it changed her. Yeah, that was tough. That was really
So tough and so hard to see your kids hurting,
oh, there, in something like that, there's nothing you can do about it other than
No.
I would pray on prayer. And that's, I don't want to say nothing because prayer is huge in my life, but it was very difficult. And, just the trajectory of it all, that changed who Abbie was.
Mm-hmm.
Up until then, fun and loving, just mischief and climbing trees and just, even there was a time that she went back to, it was in school, elementary, and the school nurse called me and said, oh no, it was a counselor, and said, we wanted to talk to you about the bruises on Abbie's legs. And I'm like, okay. And she's, said, we're really concerned. And I said, oh my gosh. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm getting this phone call. That kid was outside like a tomboy, climbing trees, playing in the mud, dirt, and it would always end up on her legs, like her bottom, below her knees. So she'd get these little bruises. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not beating my daughter. No. It wasn't anything like that. She was just so crazy, full of energy, climbing, wanting to do everything her two older siblings did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course she did.
Yeah. And it was kind of fun to see how they reacted with her being so much older. I didn't know how that was going to work. But yeah, she just had a heart of gold. Loved to serve, to be there for her friends. And I think sometimes that was her downfall.
Mm-hmm.
That was more of a, gosh, what do I want to say? It's more of a thing for her that she would be, it gave her maybe that peace in her heart, in her soul, that she was helping others.
Yeah.
And I think and come to find out, she did have mental illness. It runs in my family, my mom, just trying to address that with her and just all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, after, like I said, after her daughter died, her friend died, things kind of changed for sure. And it was difficult. I could see her going towards other bad influences. And I was divorced at the time, so trying to rein her in. And yeah, it was something else at times. But all in all, she was my daughter. She, people loved her. And to this day, people will talk about her and like, oh, I remember when Abbie did this or Abbie did that. And it gives me such joy to hear. It's kind of bittersweet, right?
Yeah.
I love it. I want to hear her name. That's where Say My Child's Name started. But then again, it's like, oh, you're not here. That's why we're speaking that. You're not here. And it'll be 10 years in June.
Wow.
I know.
10 years.
Right? Yeah.
That is hard to wrap your head around, isn't it?
It is. And 10 years has gone so fast.
Mm-hmm.
As they say, what is it? They say the days are long, the years are short,
Yeah.
and it's just zipped by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be at 8 in August, and it's just hard for me to wrap my head around. Yeah, it'll be 8 in August. Yeah,
Hmm, I know. You have other children, right?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Are they
I
older
do.
than Andy or?
Andy was in the middle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He
How
was
are
in
they
the
doing?
middle one.
That's a big thing for me with my kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's a struggle for sure. And there are good times and bad times,
Hmm.
I would say, for everyone. And, when we go through kind of some milestone things, it can be hard, you
Hmm.
know. My foster son Valeriano just had a baby in December, and that's a joyful time, and it's
Sure.
wonderful to be a grandparent.
Isn't it? It's the best.
But yet, it's really it's hard to having that big thing happen and have him not be a part of it, right?
Do you feel like, I think our child loss group feel that as time goes on, people seem to be less willing to talk about, let's say, Abbie and Andy.
Oh, for sure.
And it really hurts my heart
Yeah,
because I know when they're looking at me what they're thinking. It's like you can see right through them. And that's just so, oh, it's hurtful.
yeah,
I understand where they're coming from. They don't want to bring her up for fear I'm going to be upset. Well, what they don't realize is I think about her. I wake up thinking about her,
yeah.
So,
Right, and it doesn't make you more sad. And
no.
what's funny too is I think they think if the tears come, that's something we need to avoid, right? You need to avoid having the
Hmm.
tears come.
Hmm.
But as you said, it's beautiful when you hear her name,
Hmm.
right?
I love the tears. It's
Right,
cathartic. Hmm.
right. The
Yeah.
tears are cathartic, but also the tears are a little bit on that bittersweet that
Hmm.
you remembered. You
Yeah.
remembered. Like I'm crying now because
Yeah.
I think about how it moves me when someone remembers.
Yeah.
Because, when they don't bring up Andy's name, I just assume they forgot or
They
it
don't
just doesn't matter
care.
or they don't really care that much anymore. If
Yeah.
you do bring it up, it's beautiful to me. I love that. So, and the tears come, but
Yeah, they do. They're cathartic. Do you feel that you wrap yourselves around people that are like you or have your story to tell or
yeah, I mean it's so much different. It's really funny because I I thought, when Andy died and I go to support group, everyone says your friends are going to kind of fall away and your friends will change. And I thought, not my
no.
friends, not my
Yeah.
friends. My
Right.
friends will be there.
Yeah.
And I think of, who my best friend really was when Andy died. And it's not the same as it is
It,
now.
and
I
this
mean,
is I agree.
we're not. There's another really close friend who is one of my best friends, Michelle. I talk about her a lot on the podcast. She lost both her sisters, one when she was young, one when she was older. Both her sisters had cancer when she was young. She lost her mom. She's gone through a lot of loss. She and I are just as close. But it really, I mean, I think it's because that didn't scare her. I mean,
Right.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
she watched both her parents lose two out of their three kids. Like, I mean, it's
Right.
horrible. And
Hmm.
I know her heart just hurt so badly for
Right.
me
Right.
when she knew what I was going to
What you
have
were
in my
going.
life because
Hmm.
she knew what I was going to have in my life because
She
she,
knew.
from young, had
Yeah.
watched it. She had watched her parents live the life that I was going to have to live.
Mm.
But that is the one person from my life from before Andy died who I have just as close, if not closer
I
relationship
love that.
to than before.
I love
Everybody
that.
else is kind of different, to be honest. A lot of my friends are other bereaved parents. They don't even live in the same town or the same state,
Right.
even. And
Right.
those are the people I feel closest to.
I think change is good. This journey is different for everybody, and I'm okay with who I'm surrounded by.
Yes, I am too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want people to feel sorry for me that I don't
Right.
have the same friends. And I don't even want the woman who used to really be my best friend to feel bad about the fact that I don't
Right.
talk to her very much anymore. I mean,
Right.
we've just grown apart because our lives are so, so different from
Mm-hmm.
each other. It's
Mm-hmm.
just
You can't
like,
relate.
yeah, we just
Mhm.
don't have the same thoughts or I don't
Right.
know. I mean, it's just we just don't live the same life and that's okay. And we still get together occasionally. I mean, we still will do stuff. It's just we can't be what we were
Right.
because honestly, just because I'm too different.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
It's
And that
okay.
is totally okay. That's
You know,
totally
the
okay.
loss of your son made you who you are today.
Right.
The love of that you had for him makes you who you are today. So, I say, okay, I have to embrace it somehow.
Yeah, right.
And,
Mm-hmm.
by doing that, speaking her name, speaking Andy's name, I mean, it's so vital and so important. And that was one thing after she died, people weren't saying her name. And I thought,
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking when you're looking at me.
Mm, yeah.
And that's kind of where Say My Child's Name started.
Yeah.
Very small.
Well, I want you to can you talk a little bit about what happened to Abby?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I knew, I gave her a lot of restrictions when she was still in school.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no tattoos, no piercings. You're not going to do drugs, blah, 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 blah. Well, little did I know that she was smoking pot in her senior year. And, people say, well, that's really not a gateway to other things. And I thought, usually that people that start doing that, there is an issue. There is a void that they're trying to feel better.
Right. Oftentimes it is like a self-medication kind
It
of thing,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not always, but for many people it can be.
Most like, yeah. So that was her gateway. And
Yeah.
she had moved out after school. She had a job as a cosmetologist and a friend in her life that I'd like to say it was a bad seed, but they were so close,
Yeah.
but they did everything together, if you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. They did
Yeah.
everything. And it was probably in 2000, let's see, when Abbie was 20, like 20-ish, she got arrested. And it was because she was at a local, like a 7-Eleven, Super 8, or, gas station. And she and her friend did heroin in the bathroom.
Wow.
And her friend, I mean, overdosed,
Oh dear.
but she didn't die. But they had to call EMS, and the cops were there, and they had to arrest her because she had stuff in her car. That was a shock to me, to my
Yeah.
husband at the time. We had no idea what was going on, and they're good. They're good at keeping it away from
Yeah.
people because they, what's the alternative? Rehab
Yeah.
and all of that other stuff. So even before, well, after that, it was so difficult with her for about a year. She got with a guy who I thought was really sweet and seemed to really like her a lot, gave her flowers and all that kind of stuff, gave her the attention I think Abbie was feeling neglected of, didn't have. And he got her, really on going to heroin.
Yeah.
And it was so traumatic. She would be gone and the phone would ring at 2 a.m. Mom, I need you to come and get me. Mom, or I need money. Mom, anybody that has gone through this with their child, get it?
Yeah.
It's horrible, traumatic. I still have trauma from it because the phone will ring in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
who is that? Yeah. And she stole from me and a couple of different times and, money.
Yeah.
My jewelry was gone. And families that have addicts as their children, they understand all of that. It was all I said to her one day, I said, Abbie, this is all new to me. I don't understand. Help me to understand why. Help me to understand why you continue. And she told me, and it broke my heart. She said, when I did heroin the first time, it was like heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And then when she told me that, I thought, she's never going to be able to kick this. That was her. So after her arrest, it was a court-ordered rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, when she went into rehab, she was pregnant. I'm like, oh, this is great. You're going to rehab, you find out you're pregnant. So she spent most of her pregnancy in rehab, which
Mm-hmm.
was obviously the best place for her. I would pick her up on Sundays and we'd go to church together. She was really becoming, her thoughts were clear. Her head was clear. She knew that she wanted to kick this for Lily.
Yeah.
She said, "My daughter saved my life, Mom." And I said, that's wonderful, sweetie. And I get it, but you got to do this for you. No, no one else, not your baby daddy, who they were engaged, but he was in prison. Long story on that. When she got out in January, I had my daughter back.
Yeah.
We had the best time. We laughed so much. Her relationship with her sister just grew. It was awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then she had Lily April 11th. And, my other daughter came home from Tampa and was in the delivery room. It was really, I look back now and I can't wait to be able to share with Lily the day she was born.
Yeah.
What went on and, all of that. And of course, she came home with me, lived with me in my apartment. And she was such a great mom. She loved Lily, but she was fighting demons that I didn't know. This is a tough thing to say. And I know people are going to think, oh my gosh, who are your kids? What are they? My son had been in the Navy, and they live in Maryland. And I went to visit him with my other daughter, Katie. They had a little baby, or Geneva. So we were just enthralled. That was our first grandchild. And they sat me down and said, Mom, you're enabling her, the whole 9 yards, right? Which is true. I was.
Yeah.
But they gave me an ultimatum. They said, if you don't take Abbie to court for what she stole from you, you are out of our lives.
Wow.
I know. I still have nightmares about that. I came back from Maryland. I thought, well, I can't lose my son, my daughter, my granddaughter. I can't, but then it was so hard.
Yeah.
And I came back, and the next day I was in the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. I wasn't. It was just anxiety. So I had to gather all of that stuff. And, my son would check in periodically. How's it going, Mom? Can I help you with anything? And I'm like, no, you cannot.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the police station and meeting with the police officer. It was a female, and told her the story. And I was so miscombobulated. I just, like, I cannot believe this. I'm taking my daughter to court and all this stuff. And I said, oh my gosh, I left some records in the car. And she said, you have enough. You don't need to go to your car to get any more. And I'm so grateful she said that. That was kind of her way of saying how sorry she was that this was happening. I'll be forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
Peace, because there was no peace doing that.
No, I'm sure not.
It was,
Sounds
so
horrible.
the day that she went, we were going to go to court. I picked her up because she didn't have a car, and she was at a friend's are you familiar with Section 8?
No, huh?
The housing. Oh, it's not. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad it's there. It's a government subsidy, but
yeah. Okay.
It just was not good. And we get there and we're going through the motions, and I can't honestly tell you what the judge said what she had to do at this point. Oh, maybe pay it back, but that's it. I can't remember. But all I remember is after it was done, the judge looked at me and he said, you take care of her. And I just thought, oh my gosh, you get it?
Yeah.
You can't say too much, but I'm sure he's seen a million cases like this, but that really validated my feelings. And
Well, and he showed you that you were being a good mom,
yeah,
right? You were
yeah,
being a good mom because you weren't feeling like a good mom at that point in
no,
time.
no,
You
not
weren't.
at all. Not at all.
But yet he knew that you were just trying to take care of her.
Right. And I try to, shake her a little bit to say, you got to stop this. But yeah. So after she got home from rehab, and our lives together were amazing. So
Yeah.
fun. I would go to her doctor appointments, and I remember that year, 2016, the Cavs in Ohio won the championship.
Uh-huh.
And we were watching the last game, and I was jumping up and down, and she's like, she was videotaping me to send to her sister how crazy I was. He goes, and I could hear Abbie laughing in the background of the videotape. And that's the kind of relationship we had. It was fun, so much
Yeah.
fun. So a couple months into it, I wrote the judge and the district attorney, and I said, I have my daughter back. I am so grateful to the system, to God. I have her back. And I said, I want to null and void this thing that she has to pay me back. I did not
Mm-hmm.
want her to have that saddled on her. And she did not ask me to do that. I was so
Yeah.
funny. I just came across that letter the other day, and I just wanted the best for her.
Yeah. Of course you did.
I didn't want her to feel that burden
Mm-hmm.
with trying to get clean and sober and everything else that went with it. And I got a call from the district attorney, and he couldn't have been. Oh my gosh! So they were, they stopped it. However, they had, what they had to do. But he was so loving, if a district attorney can be that, and just said, "We get it. We're so grateful that she's on the road to recovery." And
Yeah.
yeah, it was great. It was great until I could tell. Oh, yeah. After Lily was born, she had emergency gallbladder surgery. Abbie did. And the doctor who did the surgery said, this is one of my top 5. It was adhered to her liver and it was a hot mess. So, how old? She was 22 at the time. And I said, Abbie, you have to explain everything to your doctors. You have to let them know your background. You have to let them know that you were an addict and what not to give you and blah, blah, blah. And those laws anymore where you can't, you have to be, once they're 18, you
Yeah.
can't look at their records or any of that kind of stuff. But I would try to just kind of look at the doctor and say, yeah, there's some issues,
Yeah.
trying to explain the best that I could without infringing on her. Oh, it was crazy. So they put her on Percocet.
Oh no.
For about the first week, the bottle sat on the counter in my kitchen. And she says, Mom, you can count my pills every day. And I did for about a week. It was like, okay, this is going good. And I feel guilt for this, but I felt like she needs to take responsibility for this. She needs to, she's an adult. She has a baby. Mom can't be over her shoulder 24/7. I had a job. I was helping to support my daughter and her daughter.
Yeah.
I'd come home and she needed a break from the baby. It's just one of those,
Yeah.
life's journeys. But I said, Abbie, this is not my world. I don't understand it, but you've made such great progress and I trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you to take this medication the way you're supposed to. Well, that didn't work out. Then she started buying pills. I don't know how she got the money. And the pills led to doing heroin again. And that was the night that she died.
Yeah.
Her friend had bought heroin, but it was 100% fentanyl. So
Oh.
her friend and Abbie were in Abbie's room, her bedroom, and they both died. And poor Lily was there crying. I went in to get her, and it just was a nightmare. It's been a nightmare.
Oh, it sounds like it. Yeah,
It's been a nightmare.
it's terrible.
And I have a background in hospice, and so when I found her, I knew just by looking at the both of them that they were dead. But I touched her, and I remember how cold she was. And I said, "Honey, are you in heaven? Is that where you are? Are you in heaven?" And I have to have faith that that's where she is.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yep.
It would tear me apart to think that, well, maybe she wasn't, or maybe she isn't. No, I firmly believe that God came and got her and said, enough. You can't handle this. And that's what he did.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now it's been close to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And her daughter just celebrated her 10th birthday, double digits.
Yeah. Where's she living?
Well, I had her for the first 5 years.
Uh-huh.
I had full custody. But after about a year, it was difficult juggling my work. I had a newborn. I was grieving, but I couldn't really grieve like I wanted to, even though I was grieving heavily. So my kids said, "Mom, you really need some help." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I need help."
Yeah.
So it just kind of worked out. A friend from Michigan that used to live in Ohio. My daughter, Katie, was a nanny for her kids. And then the couple that started to help me with Lily, she was the nanny for this family too. So it's weird. It's a God thing. Everything kind of came together. And as time went on, and I could see, and they could see that Lily was a gift and how much they loved her. And I wanted that for Lily. I wanted her to have a family, brothers, cousins, all of that.
Uh-huh.
Because I was just her Nana, even though we have a great bond. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I feel like she's my child because she was with me so much. But I knew that she deserved that, right? She deserved to have a family. So one thing led to another, and it was about at that 5-year mark where Abbie's baby daddy was out of prison, but then had gone back to jail. And my attorney at the time said, "Okay, now's the time. Lily's parents to file to get custody of Lily."
Yeah.
The attorney didn't want, even though he needed to be notified, the attorney didn't want just so many distractions and things going on with him that he would stop the process. Gosh, little did I know that afternoon, I knew he had been served. His mother calls me and leaves a long message. "I want custody of Lily," blah, blah, on and on. Well, his mom is a former meth addict, and she would do drugs with Abbie and her son. And I'm like telling my attorney, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, now what?"
Yeah.
That went on for another year. And I always had said, and I would say to my daughter, I will grieve. I'll be able to really grieve fully when Lily is safe and she's theirs and, what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
And it has been a God thing. I think sometimes I'm closer with them than my own family. And I think it's because we're so close in distance. And we were over there last night with all of her family and his family, and they've embraced me and my family. I'm the other Nana.
Yeah.
It's just, we vacation together. We just, it's amazing.
That's a
It is
gift.
truly amazing. But the day that it went through, my attorney called me. She says, "I don't usually call my clients, but I needed to call you to tell you." And it was a wave of emotion.
Yeah.
Bittersweet. And when I got off the phone, it just manifested. It was like the day that she died. It was
Yeah.
horrible. And I called my daughter and I said, I, yeah, I don't think I shouldn't be alone. And we've talked about it prior to that. And it took me about a week
Yeah.
to settle myself down and not working because I was grieving Abbie all over again.
Yeah.
I just didn't allow myself to be,
No.
I didn't want it in front of Lily. I
Right.
wanted her to, I
Exactly.
just didn't.
Yeah.
Although I grieved tremendously, it was sad because it brought everything back so vividly. It was
Yeah.
horrible. But she's good.
Yeah. That's good.
Lily's good. Lily is perfect.
Well, talk about your grief journey and then the project that you've been working on and how that kind of came about, because I'd
Okay.
love to have you talk more about that.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so about a year after Abbie died, I keep saying Lily, I realized, like I said before, that people were not saying her name. And I was working with a group of people, and I was in hospice. And at that point, I was a volunteer manager. And one of my volunteers said, you need to start something. And I'm like, oh, what do I need to start? Whatever. And she said, say my child's name. There you go. And which kind of resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I registered the name. I had wristbands made up and lanyards. Okay. That was just kind of the basics, right? And I would
Yeah.
once in a while be, if people were having like an outing and they had booths and stuff, sometimes I would do that and just give them away. I never wanted anybody to have to purchase it. If they contacted me through my email, I would send them that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so they could have it. And I've sent it to California, to Arizona, Maryland, and it's gone out there, but not as much as I would like, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a friend of mine, her son died a year after Abbie of the same thing. And we belonged to the same church. And we ran into each other one day at church. We had gone to families facing addiction prior to our kids passing, where it was a group of parents that had children actively in whatever drug of choice, right? How we're coping, what we need to do. I remember the day she died, and I don't know where all these people came from. They were in my apartment. These and people from family facing addiction. I don't know where they came from. How did they know? It was like within a couple hours, it was full, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it. So, Gail and I said we've got to do something. We're hurting
Yeah.
so badly. We've got to reach out. And the church was kind enough to let us have an area where we could have a child loss grief group, once a month or however we wanted. So that went on for like 6 years until our church, they decided to go a different route. They were like kind of, I don't want to say dismantling all the groups, but the church was going a different direction. So all of
Okay.
the tentacles of groups and things that those smaller groups, they weren't going to do them anymore. So that was a dilemma. And I thought, okay, where are we going to have this? And I emailed the mayor of Stone. I said, hey, we're looking for a place. Can you recommend something? He says, why not City Hall? And I'm like, okay, I need to come and, take a look.
Yeah.
And it was an absolutely beautiful space. And so we just went with it, and that's where we've been doing it for probably about 9 months now. But soon after we started, another mom in the group, we've become very close. And I looked at her one day and I said, we've got to do more. I know this is great. I love the group.
Mm-hmm.
We're helping a lot of people. They're helping me. They're helping you. More people were attending. And I said, there's something more. I felt like God was putting something on my heart to do something more with Say My Child's Name. And I said, you know what? We're going to build them a remembrance memorial. And she's looking at me like, okay. I said, let's see if we can have a meeting with the mayor. That happened quickly. We met with him, told him our stories, and he said, okay. And I said, what do you mean, okay? He goes, I've got a spot for you at this park called Adele Durbin Park. And we're just sitting there like in shock. And my friend asked him, well, how many hoops do we have to jump through? And he said, just me. He knew our vision. He knew our mission. He knew he's come into contact with so many families that have lost children. He wanted this for his community. So that's kind of where it began. We started fundraising in December.
That is just beautiful. It's making me cry. I mean, it's just so beautiful.
I know. He's been wonderful. And yeah, it is. And it's going to be something else. I just, wind chimes and dedications to whoever
Yeah.
that child was, benches. And it's in a park-like setting. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's exactly what I could have ever picked out.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, he said, this is the spot. And I'm like, I thought about, I was thinking this would be great, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was the spot. So, we started. I sent out Christmas cards in December with the information, with the pamphlet. And like I said, it took off.
Yeah.
And this is how it reverberates through families and the trauma with families, PTSD, the mental illness, not only with the parents, the siblings, but the grandparents and even extended family that are invested in that child. Their lives are never going to be the same either.
Yeah.
So the local paper, Akron Beacon Journal, did a piece on the memorial, and someone saw it, gave it to another couple who live locally, and because that couple had been looking for something to do in the honor of their granddaughter Chelsea, and because Chelsea left 2 boys, and she wanted a place for her boys to go to honor their mom. And because they didn't have their mom with them, I can't remember if she was cremated or if buried somewhere else, but the kids are local and she wanted that for them. So she got in touch with me. I went over and met with them. She gave me a check for $20,000.
Oh, my word.
And that's a God thing for sure.
Yeah.
For that whole weekend, I was kind of in shock by it. And I remember after meeting with her, I said, and she looked at me, she goes, Cindy, if you need more money, I want you to call me. And I said, her name was Marianne. I said, I'm not going to call you. That you've done so much. And she said, well, then email me. And and her husband's just shaking his head and said, yeah, well, that's whatever you need. Yeah. I mean, that is in the background, but I don't ever want to have to ask her for anything, because there are people out there. There are corporations. But everybody knows somebody that's lost a child. Yeah. And if they have any type of feeling about it and passion about it, then they're going to want to help with this. It's not just for my group. It's for all of our communities. We had a mayor's luncheon just recently with 7 area mayors, and we've met with them all. They get the vision. They want to help, and it reverberates, right? It's going to be, it's just going to be something that all communities surrounding can be a part of. Mm-hmm. And then one of our community outreach guys, his name is Bob. And when we were talking at the mayor's luncheon, he was going on about saying, well, you know what? We can build one in your city and we can start a group in your city. My head was spinning. I said, Bob, let's just get this one built first. And then I'm happy to, if anybody, I'm happy to help them. But we got to get this done first, right? But that's his enthusiasm, right? And I love it.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Even the mayors, when I've talked to them since they've mentioned it, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get this done in Stowe first, and we can certainly investigate it. But I want, say my child's name, Child Loss Memorial, Remembrance Memorial, because it's not a cemetery, to be a destination spot, right?
Yeah.
And I've got to work on that to figure out how that's going to be. But I want people that are visiting Ohio or from Ohio when traveling through Stowe, you know what? I lost my sister. I'm just going to go and just sit, just be. With the wind chimes, the beautiful flowers. We have a major donor. He has a humongous landscaping, and he donated, and he said also all the plants that you need for the space. We've had, remarkable donors, people that get it. So
I was just looking to see where Stowe is. So Stowe is just a little north of Akron, huh?
right.
South of Cleveland a
Kind of
ways.
between Cleveland and Akron.
Yeah. That's what I see.
I had called, or I messaged the Ohio State Senator, Casey Weinstein. And I thought, you know what? I mean, it's not that I have no shame. It's more of we feel so passionate about our mission that I will talk to whoever.
Right.
It doesn't matter, right? And I know that you feel the same way. I'll talk to whoever will listen. And I met with him, and he mentioned about losing a child in his family, and he got it. He got the mission. And he, posted it on Facebook, on his personal page, on his Senate page. And he said, I am here to support you all along the way, whatever you need. I know he has a busy life, and I try not to message him too much, but that was a big boost to our cause.
Yeah, for sure.
So his name has gotten me in a couple of doors, so to speak. Casey said this for me to see you, and he's been wonderful, just a godsend. So that's kind of where we are. I mean,
and so you started your fundraising really in earnest this last winter. You said kind of in December.
Around Christmas
And
time.
so I think you should tell people what your goal is and what you've raised so far, because you told me before we started recording, but
right.
I think you should say.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, and when we spoke before, I'm so new to this. I'm doing baby steps every step of the way, because all of the builders and the masons and the insurance and all of that stuff, I'm like, what? But we have a great group that's doing this. So when we originally met with the builder, what a family, 9 children. He's a police officer in the neighboring county, and they had lost 2 children.
Wow.
So he really, they got it. They get it.
Yeah.
It's right. It's embedded, right? They gave me a number, $100,000. And I was shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh. And someone had said to me, that'll feed a lot of people, a lot of kids. And it resonated with me. And I thought, gee, should we do this? I mean, that's a lot of money. Then when I started to talk to people in the business, they said, oh, that's a drop in the bucket. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
They said, we're surprised it's not more. And I'm like, okay. So a couple weeks ago, the team, we sat all down together at their business, and Mark says, okay, our goal is $200,000. And I looked at him and I said, what? And he was so, that's his business. He knows what could happen, what the maintenance, all of that. Down the road. And he said, we have to have a fund where 10% of everything we raise goes into that for that purpose. And so we need to generate more money. So now I'm telling people $200,000, and it's a lot. It's a lot of money.
But you've raised 45,000. All right.
45. Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I'm blown away.
I mean, that's amazing in a pretty short amount of time, really.
Yeah. I'm kind of blown away by that. Oh, the generosity. Oh my gosh. It's just warms my heart. And it's been a journey. Abbie is on my mind more.
Yeah. Of course she is.
Which is a good and a bad thing, right?
Yeah, right.
But I know how parents are out there hurting so badly. And they may not have their child buried where they are. They may have their child cremated or living in another or buried in another state. There are so many variables to that we just wanted to make sure that people knew it's not a cemetery. It's not a cemetery. It's a place to just come and be.
Yeah.
We're going to have a nook where there's going to be a ton of resources for mental health, grief, what families go through from PTSD to trauma. We really want to focus in on not only this memorial, but the mental health, what happens to families after, because it's kind of a lost, most people don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a week off after Abbie died. A week. I don't even know how I did my job.
Yeah.
Right. And I know everybody feels, so there needs to be some changes. And I mentioned that to our senator. I said, after we get this built, we've got to bring awareness to this more so than a week paid vacation or, paid time off.
Paid leave, yeah.
Of course, people can take off as long as they want, but it's not paid.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
It's like for like 6 months, I wondered how I did my job. I go, they're paying me to do my job. How am I doing it? It was a fog. You remember those days? It was horrible.
Well, it was horrible. I tried going back to work and I failed and I left. So
it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. I'm actually.
Well, it's just beautiful. I mean, I love what you're doing. Tell people how they can find out more and how they could donate.
Well, okay. I'm going to give you the direct site to donate to.
Mm-hmm.
It is, let me just give you my email first. It's say my child's name, Abbie, Abbie, at gmail.com.
Beautiful.
They can email me. Since we are not a 501c yet, we go through the Stowe Monroe Falls Community Foundation, which is a 501c.
Okay.
So they take care of all the money. They take care of all the legal stuff, what needs to go to government. They take care of all that, which I'm grateful for because I'm not savvy in that. So the foundation is smfcommunity.org/mychild.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's smfcommunity.org/mychild.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And I'm happy to give anybody any information. Send me an
Yes.
email.
Yes.
But there's not a whole, it takes you right to the site when it's /mychild. We're the ones that have all of that information. We don't have a website yet. Everything's kind of taken off and gone
so quickly. Mm-hmm.
So I'm
beautiful.
Working with a high school girl who had lost her mom when she was about 7. And I had met her and she said, whatever you want me to do to support your cause. So she's been helping me just with, she did a slideshow and things like that. And she's going to do a website. So there's a lot of love out there, a lot of wanting to help. If you can't do it money-wise, she's doing it another way.
Mm-hmm. Well, beautiful.
But there's so many opportunities. Wind chimes, a bench in your cousin's honor because your aunt and uncle lost a child. It doesn't just have to be yours and my child. We want to open it up to everybody.
Well, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you for sharing Abbie. Thank you for sharing all about this wonderful, wonderful remembrance memorial that you're doing. I just can't wait to see it.
Oh,
I feel like sometime I'll have to get down there to Ohio. It's not that far from Michigan. So thank you. Thank you.
It isn't. And I did tell you, I'm born and raised in Michigan.
Yeah, right.
So I'm a Michigander too. So I get it. I get it. Marcy, thank you so much for the opportunity to share our story.
Thanks for listening. If you found this helpful and would like to support the podcast, please leave a 5-star rating and comment. To help financially, you can type Andy's Mom, one word, to the number 53555. This provides a link to GiveButter, which allows donations through PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, or credit cards. GiveButter will provide a receipt of your tax-deductible donation. Or you can visit the donation page at andysmom.com/donate. Always Andy's Mom is a registered 501c3 and can receive donations through Thrivent Financial and Benevity. Marcy loves hearing from listeners. Please feel free to reach out to her via email at marcy@andysmom.com or on the Instagram or Facebook Always Andy's Mom accounts. Sign up for the email list to get weekly episode links as well as pictures of Marcy's guests and their children. Together, let's work to inspire hope, one day at a time.